Hello guys, my name is Trev. Welcome back to the Trekway for another short review of Star Trek Discovery Season 5 Episode 9 titled Lagrange Point. Those that know anything about science, about space terms, this is, I'm not going to try and do justice to the actual exact scientific definition, but as we go through the episode review, it's basically where satellites place themselves in optimal placement between two astral bodies and keep itself more or less stationary, which is kind of cool. So I enjoyed this episode. I really did enjoy this episode. Some nitpicks as I go through it. Bear in mind, if you can join us on Sunday, 8 p.m. BST. My friend and colleague Gray and I will break this down in kind of detail. And of course, if you just Google for the Extreme Gaming Podcast Discord, you can come and join us on there, where we can talk Star Trek amongst gaming and other things as well. So the first thing to mention is Jonathan Frakes, aka number one, aka Commander, and then Captain Riker is directing this episode, so you know it's in good hands, and it certainly was a very decent episode. Saru is back for this one, which is good. You know, we haven't seen him for a couple of episodes, and Gray and I love the guy, so we're glad to see Saru back. He has flowers for Tarina, very sweet. Everyone's getting pretty much ready at Starfleet HQ for the Breen arriving at the location of the progenitor's tech. It's all hands on deck. It turns out, though, that one of the other Primarchs is going to try and take over, and Discovery will be in the way. So they are trying to rally as many ships as they can from Starfleet's point of view to go and aid Discovery, because Discovery will stand no chance. I will get into the nitpick in Sunday, but you know, there's all this. They're supposed to have transwarp, but they won't make it there in time. That's a whole other thing that we can get into later on. Discovery is a bit of a mess after the last episode. Remember the jump they made, but after some repairs, they can jump. But Stamets says it won't be dead on. They'll be a little bit off because the nav computer isn't fully repaired. Okay, that's fine. They jump and arrive. This was nuts. We saw this from the teaser. If you saw the teaser for the last episode, Discovery jumps and then immediately it has got massive stresses on its hull because of it's literally on the edge of two black holes. Not one, but two. The gravitational effects are not great on the ship. It's kind of pulling Discovery in. So Burnham's like, basically, give me all the power you've got. Short of decloaking, give me everything you've got. And it's not quite enough to get out. Saying that though, I know my friend Gray doesn't like to tell you too much, but she's got the smart brain. And she's able to figure the right path out of the two black holes, like threading the needle through the exact course to actually get them away from the black holes. And it's a cool little special effect that we see there. Now, the tech they're looking for, the progenitor tech, it's right in the middle of these two black holes. Hence the title Lagrange Point, right? It's held perfectly in place, and they can see it, but they're not quite close enough. Discovery can see it, and it's about the size of a shuttle. But I kind of got a bit bewildered because while they're going, ooh, shiny tech, the Dreadnought literally comes out of warp right at the right location because its nav computers were fine, and goes yoink, puts a tractor beam on the progenitor tech, takes it into its shuttle bay, and it's out of there. And I'm thinking, Discovery, come on, man. As soon as you saw that, you should have been heading right for that. Don't waste the time. So yeah, the Breen have got it. They're going to have to find their way to get it back off them. And they come up with a little plan, which is bold, as always, when Burnham's in charge. the crew will fly onto the dreadnought in a shuttle, right, that can fit through a small gap in the shield where their exhaust ports are for their, I guess, their impulse engines. And I'm thinking to myself at the time, like, surely even with 32nd century technology, that's going to destroy the shuttle in a matter of seconds or minutes. And we, of course, get to that, and it's explained kind of what's going on there. Their plan is to then dress up as Breen. They've got the translator tech there for the comms. They're going to slap basically a transport booster on the progenitor tech and beam it off. Simple, right? What could go wrong? Easy peasy. As it turns out, not so much. What's kind of bold here is Adira volunteers to go on the mission, which, you know, Adira is definitely getting bolder as the series goes on, so respect. Book will be joining them. He'll be piloting because he's a good pilot. And Tilly is asked by Rayner to be her his acting first officer, and she's like, sure, yeah, no problem. So the suits they wear, they all wear the Breen suits, including Burnham. It looks pretty impressive. They look the part. The Breen work on a hierarchical kind of like the armed forces or something, you know, like this, like a royal family or something. They work in this kind of setup, so they just need to blend in and use the right rank, and in theory it should be easy. What could go wrong, you know? But meanwhile, on the dreadnought with Maul is there, still leading them. The Breen open the device. I'm thinking immediately, as soon as the device is the little clue, the little key to unlock the device, as soon as that's inserted, one of those Breens going to get vaporized. I thought something's going to happen. They're going to get turned inside out. It's it's not going to be pretty. But no, it opens the device. One of the soldiers goes up to it, kind of close by, puts his hand out, and then is sucked into the container. Turns out it's some kind of interdimensional gateway. Who knew? Where to? We don't know yet. But I thought that was pretty cool, so they need to find out what's going on. Meanwhile, this whole time, Maul has a little portable pattern buffer. And if you remember the trick that they pulled, well, Scotty pulled on himself in the TNG episode where he put himself into suspended animation, kind of like this. She stores Lax's pattern in a buffer until they can use the progenitor tech. Now, we'll discuss this on Sunday. How long has he been sitting there for? Hours. Surely he's got to be brain dead, and the progenitor tech can only do so much. I'm telling you guys, Star Trek Zombies is happening. Yes, he's a different species. Maybe brain death doesn't happen for hours. That's fine. Hopefully they explain that one. So he's tucked up on Maul's arm in a portable pattern buffer. Job's a good one. Okay. Right, so the mission kicking off to steal the progenitor's tech from the dreadnought. Book takes the shuttle, and he finds out they'll only have about 60 seconds once they enter the exhaust vent before the shuttle is destroyed. So that's what I pretty much thought. It won't be long at all, and it's not, and they literally have to beam off at the right time. Now, they take it down to the last couple of seconds. It's almost game over. And the reason they take it that far down is because where they want to beam to, there's some soldiers there. So they're like, screw it, we're going to have to take our chances, beam over and take them out, which they do. So they do go over in time. Meanwhile, Saru has done a kind of ballsy thing. He's volunteered to try and intercept Primarch Tal, which is the one that took over Rayner's planet, if we recall. She's like I think it's a she, rival to basically be the number one Breen. And they're talking about the Mitchell maybe going out to help Discovery because none of the other ships will arrive in time. Typical. But the Mitchell's got that pathway drive, if you recall, so there were rumours of that being a thing. But sending another starship out might be act of aggression, so they decide not to do that. They'll send a shuttle with the pathway drive in it. I hope we get to see this pathway drive in the last episode, because that sounds cool. We can't be spore jumping everywhere, so Saru's the brave one. His partner, is it Trina? She's obviously not too impressed about this, but he's got to do it. It's his former shipmates. I get it. So he's going to go there and potentially help Discovery in any possible way he can. I like how the away team's Breen translators are holding up really well. I just wonder how they talk to each other in between translating conversation to the Breen. Anyway, this whole time on the bridge of, I think it's the bridge of the Breen Dreadnought. There's two teams. Lieutenant Reese and his team with Adira, they're basically going to start hacking the Breen systems to take the force field down around the container, the progenitor tech. So it's like two teams. And he sees the lowest ranking officer at a command station and uses his initiative to basically go in and give abuse to this young officer so we can get rid of him. They have to do repairs. I found that amusing. Adira saying, why does everyone always pick on the ensign? True enough. Tilly asks Rayner why he doesn't sit in the chair. You notice he's always pacing up and down a lot. His response is pretty hilarious. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it for yourself. I do love the guys, I've said before, but he doesn't. He's got a thing with the captain's chair, which is pretty interesting. Burnham and Book this whole time, they're trying to get into the shuttle bay, but are unable to, as Book fails a scan, an eye scan to get in. I mean, I could have told you that was going to happen. So they pretend to fight amongst themselves, the two of them, to distract the guards and take out the guards, which I found amusing. But, you know, the Breen are not completely stupid, neither is Maul. The shield goes up on the progenitor tech, and they still have to take that down regardless of what happens. I see a little cool bit where Burnham is able to change the rank in her suit as well so she can get about. She literally changes the rank on the front to Science Division so she can take this down. I like that. But while she's taking the force field down, Book has to distract one of the other Breen soldiers, and he does. He starts flirting with him. It was really amusing to watch because the little comments from Burnham are hilarious. The Breen soldier seems a bit surprised. He's like, yeah, sure, you can be my +1. Yeah, no worries at all. That was a funny scene. That was kind of cool. I'll give it that. But, you know, like I said before, the Breen kind of catch on to what the away team are doing. They put the shuttle bay into full lockdown as they notice the missing guards that Burnham and Book took out. What comes next? Well, Rayner gives them some more time by announcing himself. They basically decloak, and their plan here is that they obviously need to take down the shield. The only way to do that is to breach the cargo bay and attach the booster. That's a kind of plan that they have to go with. Easier said than done. And finally, we see a little mini fight from Discovery. Decloaks, starts heading towards the Breen ship. Red alert, fire everything you've got, Rayner says. I always love it when someone says that. Riker says it the best. Fire everything. Or fire everything we got, and I love that. But the Dreadnought's still bashing up Discovery. The idea being, Stamets comes up with the math. If they can hit the shield at the exact angle, they can go through the shield. What's the point of a bloody shield? It's a projectile and not energy that's hitting it, so I guess maybe. But you just see the shuttle bay coming in as the away team are on the Breen Bridge, coming in, and you see it in the background firing at the Breen Dreadnought. It seems to take an age to get there, but it's kind of cool. We do see Discovery go through, break the shield. That is enough to disrupt everything. Maul seems to know what's going on the whole time. She's a step ahead of the game. She goes into the portal and the progenitor tech before it all goes to shit, basically. And then you see the whole shuttle bay depressurize and everything go into space, including the progenitor tech. And that starts to then get grabbed by the black holes and kind of crushed and destroyed almost a little bit, to the point where it turns into a mini portal of its own. And oh, by the way, not only has Maul jumped in there, but Burnham followed her in as well. So this is going to be real interesting for the last episode. Raynor's in charge. He finally sits in the bloody chair and he says we have to go and get them. One episode to go to figure this all out and bring Discovery to a close, because they did film additional scenes for this. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. You know, it's not perfect, but I really enjoyed it, and it sums us up nicely. So like I say, we'll have a live review Sunday evening, BST. If you can't make it for that, because we'll break it down in detail, that's fine. It'll be available on demand after. But until the next time, guys, have a good one, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.